Scotty and I have grown up at the racetracks. Scotty especially took a lot of interest in it. Him and Dad spent an incredible amount of time together in the shop. He had an incredible gift to be able to manufacture, build things, weld things. He's mechanically inclined. Scotty in the shop could understand quickly how anything worked and make anything that he was working on go faster. Beside his God-given gift to drive, Scotty outworked everybody. That was Scotty's greatest attribute. He just never quit. He would wait till some of us that he even trusted would go home some nights and pretend to drive out the lane and turn around and come back in and take something apart one of us would put together and put it back together himself. And that's why he had so much success at big races.
He'd come down the shop, and if we worked till 10 o'clock, he worked till 10 o'clock. If we worked till 1, he worked till 1. And he was a really good worker, and if you showed him something once, he could do it just as good as you could.
There was a whole bunch of us that were racing that put our helmets up to go help Scotty. Craig and Rob Langell running go-karts. I was racing, Jackie Tanner was racing. We all realized the talent Scotty had, and it was going to be something really cool to go be part of. So we all went to help. He won 12 of the 15 races, led over 60% of the laps, and had an average finish of 2 or 2 point something. It was unheard of. The consistency he showed that year, that was the breakout year for Scott. We had phenomenal sponsors that helped him, that allowed us to go test and do some extra stuff, getting to the track and being prepared for the races as like Scotty did. He would become friends with Junior Henley in Ontario, built a rocket ship of a race car, and it was staggering. No one will ever have a streak like that in any sport without some luck. We had some luck. We missed big wrecks. There was things that happened that was to our advantage as well. But Scotty just flat out for a year just was unbeatable. Just absolutely dominant in everything he did that season.
Scotty called me up and he said he was going to build a car. And so I got him to come up, and we picked him up at the airport, went over to the terminal and picked up his motor and transmission. And we went to Campbellville and we built this complete car for him. And it was ready to go. He had no truck to take it home, so we went to the auction and bought an old Chevrolet truck, brought it back. We made a rack on the back of the truck, and we had to put the car up, but it wouldn't go on far enough, so we had to take the rear window out of the truck and push the car up inside the back seat. And we tied it down, and he drove off and went to Nova Scotia. And that was the first car, and that was the car he won a lot of the races with. It was pretty something to see.
Scott Fraser's admiration for Junior Henley runs deep.
Lately, Junior Henley has been helping me out a lot. I went to Toronto 2 years ago, and we built the car up there together. I went up there this winter and worked with him this winter, and you learn a lot. He's, well known. Everybody knows he's probably, if not the best short track driver in North America.
I think of Scott as my second son. My wife does. Even I think my son thinks of him as my second son. So, and I just, I have a lot of respect for him.
Scott became solely identified with Atlantic Cat. We were the primary sponsor, and he made that an awful lot easier for us than what it normally would have been, is to get that new name out there. So, it was like Atlantic Cat car, Atlantic Cat, Scott Fraser, that type of thing. So the true benefit, I think, about the whole thing was Scott's personality and his nature and his, he's a very humble person, okay? He's very congenial, he's very charismatic, and he made everybody that he met through our customer events just feel very, very important. So it was a bonus all around, no question.
Nova Scotia, here is the Cat Machine for young Scott Fraser.
Atlantic Cat was the best sponsor probably on a race car the Maritimes has ever seen. And Scotty was lucky enough to have it. After Atlantic Cat stopped sponsoring us, Rolly stepped in. The amount of money that it took to do that ASA deal with Rolly was just, it'd be mind-blowing if we could equate it to how much money it would be today.
I could see with Scott, he was where I was 10 years before, because he built his own cars, he drove his own cars, he was his own crew chief. He was a team and one person, really, like Scott was it. When he got in that car, same as I did it sometimes, you could feel what the car needed. So being the driver, the builder, the owner, he could correct the problem.
I don't know where you'd go to find somebody who had all those pieces that made him the success that he is. You know, it's like Buddy Baker said. He said, you know, he had everything. You know, he said he knew how to drive the car. He knew how to prep the car. He knew how to set the car up. He knew how to build the car. You know, and he knew how to lead his team. He knew how to lead the people and the folks around him.
And like the Pettys, the Jarretts, and the Hallahans, it's a family affair.
My mother, she's the silent factor of it, but in all honesty, and all the crew people will say, she's the one that keeps me on the straight and narrow, but during the week wise, and then she's probably another main factor of us getting winning as many races as we do. First time she's been out in the garage for what?
A little while.
Together there in the latter part of '98, and I could see I wasn't competitive in New Smyrna anymore. I needed a good driver to put behind the wheel. I drove there in 91, 92 in New Smyrna, my own cars, and then I haven't gone back for a number of years. So I had a good motor program. I had good cars, and they weren't one of Scott's cars. They were built by Junior Hanley. And I asked him if he was interested in going to New Smyrna. He had never raced there, right? And I knew it was his type of track, high bank, half mile, fast, and that's what he accelerated on. So yeah, we put together a deal, and we went there in February of '99. We had a really good run. In the whole 9 nights, we missed 2 nights because of motor problems. He had set fast time the other 7 nights. We won 50 lapper and another 35 regular, like they have different length of races. Finished second in the 100 lapper with Junior Hanley winning it that night. Well, after that, I could see there was a lot of potential in Scott as a driver, and so I like to see my cars win. So we talked about getting together in different series, and it seemed like the ASA at that time was the way to go because it was more affordable. They had a different motor rule. So it was a complete car we bought from Port City, we ordered.
As a former NASCAR champion, Rollie recognized Scott's talent immediately. The American Speed Association is the most competitive non-NASCAR series in the United States. It has produced some of the greatest stock car racers in the history of the sport.
I'm Scott Fraser, driver of the 00 King Freight Line Monte Carlo, and I'd like to say hi to everybody in Canada.
Well, the ASA cars are, you know, all the top drivers on ASA, like Bob Seneker, everybody that, Alan Kowicki raced it, Mark Morton raced it, I mean, Rusty Wallace, everybody went through ASA. And Scott, when I originally wanted to do it, I got him a car built at Port City, him and Rollie, and they had a really good first year.
We went to Chicago for the first ASA race in a mile track, and we surprised everybody there, and probably ourselves, because we sat outside pole out of a 35-car field, and on a mile track, and he had never run a mile track before, and it wasn't real high bank, it was a medium bank, but a fast track. And he, outside pole, we ended up finishing 7th in that race.
Well, Bobby, it was a year ago that ASA made its debut on this track in Chicago, and that same day, Canadian Scott Fraser made his ASA debut. Qualified on the outside of the front row, he led the first 19 laps that day on his way to an 8th place finish.
For Scott Fraser, the future is boundless.
We were from Canada, and I'll tell you, I mean, most of the racers there didn't know where Canada was. They even asked if we had racetracks up in this country.
You know, like he had enough talent to go anywhere to race. Like, I mean, he was just as good enough to go. He could have went Winston Cup racing, but you got to go, you know, got to have a lot of money to do that. And it's pretty hard for somebody from Nova Scotia to go like Winston Cup racing, unless you got mega bucks.
We drive there in our 36-foot trailer, fifth wheeler. We were dealing with people in Winston Cup trailers, and that don't make you go fast on the track, but it's the indication how much money's involved in the sport, right?
Scott's received accolades from numerous organizations. He's been in the Maritime Motorsports Hall of Fame. He's the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame. He's received all kinds of accolades. He's been recognized at different levels of government, but he remains the only racer that's ever been inducted into the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame.
Raising the bar for racers and race car builders, Scott Fraser is a stock car hero. And tonight, we induct him into the Nova Scotia Sport Hall of Fame.
So the last race in Halifax that he ran, I remember that night because he was second, and with 8 laps to go, there was a caution. He started on the outside, ran the last 8 laps. This is how determined he was. He would not, and nobody runs the outside of Halifax at that time and wins. Well, he got the guy by 1 foot that 200-lap race by determination. Anyone else would be sitting in second place following, but he stayed outside there, and I never forgot it, and that ended up to be his last late model race, right? We had a lot bigger plans moving forward at that time, with the racing. Neither one of us was done. I mean, me as a sponsor, him as a driver. We were talking Craftsman Trucks. We had actually met with 2 teams that nobody even knows about what we did to try the Winston Craftsman Truck Series at that time. And looking forward to getting something done there, but then with all that happened after, it never materialized, so it's, yeah.
I got the call fairly early that morning, Saturday morning. It's probably about 8 o'clock. And probably one of the toughest days I had.
After Scott's passing there, of course, I needed some time off. It was such a blow anyway, losing my driver and not my friend. So we got back in it again, and I didn't have a driver, so I said, I'm going to get behind the wheel again. So I took the car that Scott had actually won his last race with in Halifax. And I often said, we run 1,607 green flag laps that year, and my worst finish was a 5th. And I often told people, and I often said it to myself, Scotty's driver tonight, because I looked like him out there at times, I'm sure, because I could pass anything, and drive through wrecks. My driving talent was like I was 20 years old again, right? Not 61. So it was a really good feeling, and we won the championship that year, and I really believe Mr. Fraser helped me out that year. So, thanks.
I'd say Scott would be probably one of those people that will always be remembered for his ability to build and fabricate race cars, to take them to the track, and to win races, but also to be that person that was always there for the rest of the sport or the rest of the other team. In other words, he was so unselfish when it came to what he could do for other people. And he was so appreciative. He was appreciative of his team members. He was so appreciative of the fans that would come out. Just everything and everybody that was there and around him and support him. He was just a genuinely good person,
He's well documented, everything that he accomplished. Dad, Rolly, handled everything. Personally, a fantastic guy. It was great to hang out with. Had a great brother. We had so much fun. I can't explain how much fun it was.
He was a great young guy, and I was proud to know him, and I thought he was like a son to me, and I thought he thought I was the same to him, a father. And I think he had 3 fathers, Rolly, me, and Frank, and that's the way we always figured. It was one of our sons.
To Frank, to Grace, Frankie Jr., my congratulations to you, the Fraser family, on Scott's induction into the East Hants Sports Hall of Fame. An honor very well deserving for Scott. And furthermore, thank you very much for our friendship over the years, for bringing me into the racing community, most specifically into the Fraser racing community. Congratulations and all the best.
'22 East Hants Sport Hall of Fame inductee, Scott Fraser.